The Thalmor. Not very many people would be caught taking their side. They believe in Mer supremacy, assuming you're the right type of Mer, and actively antagonize the Nords in their beliefs. They're of course a branch of the Altmerry Dominion, and as we know, much of the background story found in Skyrim is caused by their war with the Empire. Well, today's topic of discussion is based around one of those minor ripple events caused by the Great War, and surrounds the quest titled In My Time of Need, featured in the Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. I'll first go through the quest and its multiple endings, then present cases for both sides of the story, following that with my own theory and a potential missing piece of the puzzle. Lastly, I'll give my opinion on who I believe is telling the truth. The tale begins right after the player starts the quest, Dragon Rising. After hearing that the Western Watchtower is under attack and Irilith intends to lead the defense, you're sent off to go and meet everybody there. On the way out of the city, however, you'll come across two strange red guards dressed from head to toe in traditional Hammerfell garb. They're arguing with the guards, and it appears as though they aren't allowed entrance to the city.
Go back the way you came.
We're causing no trouble. All we ask is to look for her.
I don't care what you're doing. After what happened, you're lucky I don't toss you in jail. Now get lost.
If you stick around till the end of their conversation, they'll quickly turn their gaze to you and begin speaking.
You there. We're looking for someone in Whiterun, and we'll pay good money for information.
I ask them who they're looking for.
A woman, a foreigner in these lands. Redguard, like us. She is likely not using her true name. We will pay for any information regarding her location. We are not welcome here in Whiterun, so we will be in Rorikstead if you learn anything.
I asked why they're looking for this person.
It's none of your concern. All you need to know is that we're paying for information. If that doesn't interest you, feel free to walk away.
Lastly, I ask for more information on her.
We're looking for a fugitive who comes from Hammerfell, a Redguard woman. She may be somewhere in this city.
Of course, the timing on this one is pretty bad, as you're about to go and fight a dragon, likely a more pressing matter than finding a woman who's in hiding. Once the matter at hand is taken care of though, the player is then free to pursue the Alakir's request. Searching around Whiterun, there aren't many Redguard women to approach, and almost all of them act pretty nonchalant about being wanted by a group of warriors.
The who? I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about.
No one in the city has any information regarding the alleged fugitive either, so I was pretty much on my own in terms of finding her. However, Whiterun isn't that big, and sooner or later, I was bound to come across the cook, Sadia, in the Bannered Mare. Speaking with her, I asked if she knew that a group of Alakir warriors were looking for a Redguard woman.
Are you sure? Oh no! They found me? I need your help, please. Come with me. I need to speak to you privately. Quickly, come with me.
Following the Redguard, she led me through the back room and to the upper levels of the tavern. Finally, when I reached her private quarters, she pulled out a blade and confronted me.
So, are you working with them? You think you can take me? You so much as touch me and you're going to lose fingers. I mean it. I'll cut you in half. So the Alakir know where I am? What did they offer you? Gold? How many more of them are coming? Tell me.
I tell her that they just asked me to find her.
You can't tell them. Please, I need your help and there isn't anyone I can trust here in the city.
I ask her what she wants.
I am not the person that the people of Whiterun think I am. My real name is Eamon. I am a noble of House Suda in Hammerfell. The men who are looking for me, the Alakir, they are assassins in the employ of the Altmerry Dominion. They wish to exchange my blood for gold. I need you to root them out and drive them away before they find me and drag me back to Hammerfell for an execution.
I ask how I'm supposed to get rid of them.
They're mercenaries, only in it for the money. They're led by a man named Kamatu. Get rid of him, and the rest will scatter. I don't dare show my face, lest they recognize me, so you'll have to find out where they are.
I ask if there are any suggestions on how to find them.
I heard one of them was just arrested trying to sneak into the city. If he's locked up in the jail, perhaps you can get it out of him. Please, I know I'm asking you to do something difficult, maybe even dangerous. I just don't know who else I can trust.
Before leaving, I ask her some questions like why hasn't she gone to the guards for help?
You think I'd be in hiding if this was something I trusted town guards to handle? These men are ruthless. Cunning, deceitful, they'll pay off whoever they can. I can't trust anyone here in Whiterun. Guards and Jarls can be bought. And the Alakir are close. I'm running out of time, so I'm choosing to trust you.
Lastly, I ask why the warriors are after her.
I don't know for sure. I spoke out against the Aldmeri Dominion publicly. I suspect that's why these men were hired to hunt me down.
From here, I have the choice to either head straight for Rorikstead and reveal Sadia's location to the Alakir, or I can pay a visit to the aforementioned locked-up warrior in hopes to hear more of the story. Choosing the latter, the dungeons of Dragon's Reach can be reached by going through the doors behind the keep itself. Once below, there were a few guards wandering around, but most importantly, I spotted the Red Guard mercenary behind bars and spoke with him.
What are you looking at?
I ask him where I can find Kamatu.
You have a death wish, then? If you know that name, you must know to meet him would be to meet your end. But it seems we both have needs, friend. Perhaps we can help each other out.
I ask what he needs.
I have dishonored my brothers by being captured, and so they have left me here. My life with the Alakir is over now, but I have no wish to die in this god's forsaken land. If I can be released from prison, I may start over. See to that, and I'll tell you what you want to know.
I asked why they left him here.
Because I was clumsy enough to be captured. Kamatu always says, we're supposed to be the best of the best. I wasn't.
I then asked how much to pay his fine.
100 gold will secure my release. You can afford that, can't you? I suppose you'd better hope you can, if you want the information. Get the money into the hands of one of these guards, and I'll tell you what you want to know.
Turning around, I walked up to one of the jailers and offered to pay the Alakir prisoner's bounty.
Done. Convince him to stay out of the city while you're at it.
Once taken care of, I returned to the disgraced warrior.
Very well. Kamatu is west of Whiterun. It's an unassuming little cave called Swindler's Den. You realize if you set foot in there, you're never coming back out. They'll kill you. But that's your problem, not mine.
Guard!
Slightly unrelated to the quest, but I found this part of the whole interaction really amusing.
Sorry, my ears aren't so good. You say something?
I said my fine has been paid. Now let me out.
Right. Oh, look at that. I seem to have lost my keys. Might take me a while to find them. You just sit tight. I'll get around to it eventually.
Curse you!
Exiting the dungeons, I attempted to share this new information with Sadia. However, there were unfortunately no new dialogue prompts. So, once again, I was faced with a decision. Regardless of my choice though, I had to travel over to Swindler's Den in order to talk with Kamatu. The trek wasn't too bad, and the cave wasn't too far west of Whiterun. Arriving outside of it though, I was spotted by a bandit standing guard, which I thought to be pretty strange. Were these assassins in the company of outlaws, criminals, and ruffians? I fought my way through the caves, battling against mostly petty raiders. There were quite a few of them in here, and one of the last enemies was leveled. Soon, I found myself in a flooded section of the cave, and after passing through a small tunnel, I began to hear a voice.
Alakir, hold! You've proven your strength, warrior. Let's avoid any more bloodshed. I think you and I have some things to talk about.
There was a total of 7 Alakir warriors, including the infamous Kamatu. Each wielded a curved sword and seemed ready to attack in a moment's notice. I approached their leader and we began talking.
What do you need?
I asked him why he's after Sadia.
She sold the city out to the Aldmeri Dominion. Were it not for her betrayal, Tanith could have held its ground in the war. The other noble houses discovered her betrayal, and she fled. They want her brought back alive. The resistance against the Dominion is alive and well in Hammerfell, and they want justice.
I then say that I've been sent here to kill him.
Of course. Sent by... What is it that she's calling herself these days? Shazra? Sadia? One of those, correct? Did she appeal to your sense of honor? Your greed? A more base need, perhaps? It doesn't matter. No doubt she's convinced you that she's the victim. But do you know why we pursue her?
I say that Sadia told me that they're assassins.
Assassins? No, nothing so crass. Sadia, as you know her, is wanted by the noble houses of Tanith for treason. We were hired to see her return to Hammerfell for her crimes. You can help us with that, and make sure no one else gets hurt.
I ask Kamatu what he wants me to do.
She trusts you, at least to some extent. She sent you after us and has no reason to think that you'd do anything other than that. Convince her that we'll be coming for her and she needs to leave. Lead her to the stables outside Whiterun. We'll be waiting to take her into custody. I'll gladly share a portion of the bounty in return for your efforts in seeing proper justice done.
Whichever choice made here leads to one of the multiple endings for this quest. In this instance, I chose to threaten and defeat Kamatu.
I'd hoped we could work something out. That you would see reason. That we could avoid having to kill you. Very well then. If that's the way you want to play it, we will.
The Alakir warriors are only slightly tougher than the average bandit, so a good way to take care of them is to hold them at a choke point in one of the narrow tunnels. Oddly enough, in my instance, they chose to be more defensive and didn't really get many swings in. Finally, all 6 lackeys were defeated, and it was just Kamatu left. He came rushing in with 2 scimitars and got some hits in, but ultimately, he wasn't too difficult of a challenge either. Searching their bodies and the immediate area, there wasn't anything that helped to corroborate or prove their side of the story. In my case, I left the cave and fast traveled back to Whiterun. Seeking out Sadia, I informed her of the good news.
At last, I can rest safely. You have done me a great service, warrior. I cannot thank you enough. Take this reward. I managed to sneak some of my wealth out of Hammerfell when I left. It's the least I can do. For now, I will maintain my ruse here. You are always welcome in the Bannered Mare.
With 500 gold as a reward, there isn't much else to do for this quest. However, reverting to a previous save and chatting with Kamatu, this time I told him I would help set a trap for him.
Good. We'll be waiting for you at the stables. It will be good to finally be able to return home.
The Alakir let me leave Swindler's Den without a fight, and I fast traveled over to Whiterun again. Interestingly, if you were to head for Rorikstead with the news of Sadia's location, the Alakir warrior stationed there will tell you the same thing, that they intend to set a trap outside the stables and that they need your help. Entering the Bannered Mare, I approached the Red Guard.
What? How? I thought they weren't allowed within the city.
I continue to lie and say that they found a way in, and that she needs to get out of here.
But where will I go? I can't keep running forever.
I tell her that there's a horse waiting for her at the stables, and I'll make sure that she gets there safe.
After all this, I have to pick up and leave again? If you really think this is the only way, I trust you. Let's not waste any time.
From here, Sadia follows me out of the inn and ultimately outside the city walls. The quest marker leads us to the other side of the stables, and turning the corner, Kamatu can be seen waiting for her.
We meet at last, my dear lady.
What is this? What have you done?
Oh, come now. You didn't really expect to manipulate people forever, did you? Your luck had to run out sometime.
Kamatu casts some paralysis spell and captures the alleged fugitive. From here, he can be spoken to directly.
Now we'll take our friend here back to Hammerfell, where she will pay the price for her treason.
I make sure that she won't be harmed.
Not on the way back. Once she gets there, it's not up to me to decide what's done with her. And as for you, I owe you a portion of the reward, don't I? Well, here you go. Spend it wisely, and if I may, don't allow yourself to be fooled by a pretty face. You're better than that.
That's another way this quest can end, and as a reward, I'm gifted 500 gold by the Alakir warrior. There's another ending that involves killing Kamatu right as he begins to confront Sadia. After doing so, she can be spoken with.
You liar! How could you do that to me?
I tell her to calm down and that now she's officially safe.
You could have warned me you were baiting me into a trap. But you're right. This should scatter the rest of them. I can go back to my life for now. You have my thanks.
Whichever method chosen, somebody gets their way and somebody doesn't. There's even a method where both die and you get the double payout. But I'd like to get into the analysis part now. So, with the quest wrapped up, let's talk business. Who was lying and who was telling the truth? Sadia claims that the Alakir assassins were sent by the Altmerry Dominion, as she allegedly spoke out against them back in Hammerfell during the Great War. On the other hand, Kamatu and the Alakir claim that she was a supporter of the Dominion during the war and actually sold out the city of Tanith. The noble houses heard of her treason and sent the warriors to find and capture her in order to bring her to trial. These are two very compelling stories, and unfortunately for us all, there is no definitive proof as to who's telling the truth here. Bethesda didn't include any breadcrumbs, evidence, or clues as to determine who was in the right. So, the best we can all do at this point is look at the story, the political climate of Hammerfell now and during the Great War, and come to our own conclusions. I've scoured various sources, the unofficial wiki, and browsed through the opinions of others, and there are some pretty sound theories out there. First and foremost, there is some speculation that the tension and beef between Kamatu and Sadia isn't even at all related to the Altmerry Dominion and the Great War. Some fans believe there is something more personal going on here, like perhaps a family feud or a quarrel between lovers. The main evidence to support this is the fact that Bethesda chose to be very vague with the quest's finer details, i.e., not giving us a definitive answer by the end, or anything more to the mission in general, and as such, intended for the player to look deeper into the story. Although, I don't think this is the case, especially considering neither party comes forward with the truth, and I don't see why Sadia would lie about her life being in danger over a reason such as that. But I did figure this idea was worth mentioning in case anyone else cared to build upon it. Another possible theory is that maybe both sides think they're actually telling the truth, and there's a great amount of manipulation going on here. Perhaps the Alakir were told by the noble houses of Hammerfell, or someone claiming to represent the noble houses, that Sadia was wanted for aiding the Thalmor and needed to be captured. On the other hand, maybe Sadia actually did speak out against the Thalmor during the Great War. Maybe what's going on here is that Sadia's courage to go against the Altmerry Dominion made a mockery out of the Great Houses, and they're enacting their revenge by lying to the Alakir and claiming that she needs to be brought in due to treason. The Thalmor could potentially be behind this too, pulling the strings and manipulating both sides into believing that the other is working for the Dominion, so that way it creates chaos and confusion. This could be why neither side lets up their ruse and sticks to their story so well. It's only an idea, but I could definitely see it being true. Next, let's talk about the evidence supporting Sadia's side of the story. These ideas are a combination of my own and the opinions of others. If she really was a Thalmor supporter, she could have gone and sought refuge with them, but instead, she chose to go into hiding. For the most part, she seemed like a decent woman, trying to make ends meet working at the Bannered Mare. The Alakir, on the other hand, are aggressive and somewhat shady. They barge into the holds, interrogating and intimidating every Redguard woman they can find. They clearly aren't respectful of others and the customs of foreign lands, as one of them got tossed in jail, and a few others just managed to escape arrest. They hide out in Swindler's Den, protected by a bunch of other bandits, potentially suggesting that they're nothing more than a group of outcasts themselves. If Sadia's side is chosen, she continues to live her life in Whiterun, also possibly suggesting that she no longer feels the need to run. If the Alakir and the player knew of her existence there, then who's to say other parties didn't know as well? More groups from Hammerfell can be sent to track her down, but if it really was just the Alakir who had an issue with her, she shouldn't feel the need to start over again, which is what we see here. Plus, the Alakir are fairly vague with the details when it comes to talking with the town guard. I'm unsure what the extradition laws are like in Skyrim, but if it really was a provincial matter, there shouldn't be much issue telling the guards the full story and getting their help in capturing Sadia. Another interesting detail to add is that Sadia was actually right when it came to how the Alakir would act upon Kamatu's death. If Kamatu is killed just before he can capture Sadia, none of the other Alakir warriors come looking for her. They know she's in Whiterun, so what's stopping them? Surely, if they were a noble group of warriors, they'd have a second in command or backup plan if Kamatu were to perish, and seemingly that is not the case. I'd imagine they would have sought their mission out until the end in order to bring results back to Hammerfell. Maybe they are a band of assassins, and after the snake's head has been cut off, they all scattered into the wind, like the Thalmor puppets they're alleged to be. For now, that wraps up the theories supporting Sadia's story, and it's now time to look at the ideas supporting Kamatu's side. Again, a combination of my own and the opinions of others. For starters, if Sadia really wanted to hide from the Dominion and the Alakir, Windhelm and the Stormcloaks would have been a better choice than Whiterun. They share a common enemy and could protect her against any searchers, but instead, she chose to hide out in what ultimately becomes an Imperial-ruled city. Next, this point is more so to absolve the Alakir, but they're hiding out just the same as she is. They're held up in Swindler's Den and in the inn at Rorikstead, away from prying eyes. The Thalmor and Imperials have a strong presence in Skyrim, so it's best for them to lay low and go out in pairs while searching for Sadia. As for why Sadia hasn't turned to the Dominion for help, well, it could be chalked up to her not being a Mer. The Thalmor share very little love for the race of men, and due to their MO, I see it being very plausible that they would have wanted nothing more to do with her after she helped them take Tanith. Next, when first confronted, Sadia expresses shock when she first learns of the Alakir's presence in Whiterun. However, moments later, she reveals that she's been keeping tabs on a warrior who's been imprisoned in Dragon's Reach, possibly suggesting that there are holes in her story. It's also interesting that Sadia never chose to return to her home province of Hammerfell. By the events of Skyrim, the Dominion would have withdrawn from the Western lands. I would think that those loyal to their nation during these times, especially a member of House Suda, would be brought back in with open arms. At the very least, this could have given her a chance to clear her name and put an end to her constant running. Also, I'm a little foggy on the details of how the Thalmor would even come into contact with a Hammerfell mercenary group, since they aren't exactly welcomed in the province, but I'm sure there are ways for that to be done. Now, according to lore, it doesn't seem like there were many Dominion supporters amongst the Redguards, so that could act in favor of both parties here. I couldn't really find much on if there were Redguards who willingly fought for the Altmerry Dominion, but regardless, Sadia's claim is that the Alakir are only in it for the money. However, it does seem rather odd that the Thalmor would hire a mercenary team based in the Alakir deserts to track down a pretty obscure enemy. It's also strange that if they were backed by the Thalmor, why wouldn't they send an agent with the search parties in order to speak up for their cause and to accelerate the search process? At the end of the day, which sounds more likely to you? A damaged province is sending out mercenaries looking for those who committed treason during the Great War in an attempt to try them. Or the Thalmor hired a group of assassins to track down a woman who spoke out against them in a war that did not end favorably for them. Lastly, I think a missing piece of the puzzle here is the imprisoned Alakir warrior beneath Dragon's Reach. The mercenaries seem to have some sort of code that if one of them gets captured or taken to jail, they're immediately cut off from the group. The prisoner says it's for honor reasons, but I'd like to think there's more to it than just that. My personal theory is that in this vulnerable jailed state, in a province with the Altmerry Dominion, the Thalmor can easily get to them and either torture, kill, or blackmail them. I doubt the warrior's crime was that severe where he could actually die of natural causes, so why else would he be so afraid of dying in this quote-unquote God-forsaken land? In particular, the third option of blackmail is what the Alakir could be most worried about, as that's how the group, as a whole, could potentially become compromised. The Thalmor might be able to turn any warrior against their own clan, and soon, before they know it, the estranged soldier, whose family or life is on the line, reveals their hideout, secrets, and plans to the enemy. I'm not saying that Hammerfell as a whole could fall, but any provincial secrets that the Alakir know of could come as great value to the Dominion, and in turn, could be used against Hammerfell if there was to be another war. After all, the Alakir Desert is a difficult place to navigate, and who better to draw a map for you or point out important outposts than a resident of the area itself? If the desert warriors were truly afraid of Thalmor capture and interrogation, then that would instantly free them of the Dominion supporter accusations. Unfortunately though, this isn't something that can be proven and remains as just a theory. Ultimately, there's practically no concrete evidence in favor of either Sadia or Kamatu. The best we can all do is sit here and theorize on these circumstantial clues. Maybe Bethesda never even intended for there to be a right or wrong side of things, and just wanted to watch the fans go crazy over this choice. The fact that there isn't a firm answer yet makes me go nuts, but that's also a feeling that I love. As for where my opinion lies, well, in the beginning, whilst doing this quest, I was on Kamatu's side. His story felt more believable in the moment. Then, at the end of this script, after pondering on why Sadia doesn't simply return to Hammerfell after all these years on the run to either clear her name or to evade the warriors is beyond me. Sure, she'll be closer to the warriors, but at least there, if she really did fear the Alakir, she can call them out as being the real traitors of the province. So I think I was mostly on the fence, but slightly more in favor of Kamatu. Then a day went by, and now I think I believe in the theory that both sides believe they're right and are actually being manipulated by some higher power. Who knows too? Maybe this is a quest we'll get to see the outcome for if the Elder Scrolls 6 takes place in Hammerfell. To be honest though, when I go to bed tonight, I'm more than certain my opinion is going to change. Then the following night, it'll probably change again and again and again. But enough about me. I would love to know your opinions on who you think should be believed here. Is one side a Thalmor sympathizer while the other is only trying to do right by their nation? Are both of them full of it and the story is something else completely? Or is everybody involved being tricked? I'd love to know your thoughts, and until next time, keep on adventuring.